What happens when a city finally starts embracing the one asset that has been sitting at the center of it all along? In Jacksonville, that answer is beginning to unfold right now along the banks of the St. Johns River. For years, the riverfront represented one of the city's greatest untapped opportunities, a massive natural feature running directly through downtown with incredible views, access, and long-term potential, yet much of it often felt disconnected from daily life. Large stretches of waterfront lacked consistent pedestrian activity, public gathering spaces felt fragmented, and downtown struggled to create the type of cohesive, urban energy seen in other major cities built around active waterfronts. But in 2026, that narrative is beginning to shift in a major way, with the official unveiling of the new Music Heritage Garden and the reopening of the revamped Northbank Riverwalk. At first glance, these may seem like simple public space improvements or beautification projects. In reality, they represent something much bigger. They are part of Jacksonville's broader effort to transform downtown into a more connected, walkable, and experience-driven urban core. Modern cities increasingly compete through quality of life, public spaces, and the ability to create environments where residents and visitors genuinely want to spend time. Walkable riverfronts, gathering spaces, outdoor recreation, and cultural identity all play a major role in shaping how people experience a city. Jacksonville has spent years trying to unlock the full potential of its waterfront, and projects like these represent another significant step toward finally activating the riverfront in a meaningful way. The Music Heritage Garden itself was specifically designed to celebrate Jacksonville's deep musical roots while simultaneously creating another public gathering destination directly along the river. Instead of building a generic park, the city incorporated cultural storytelling into the design, creating a space that feels tied directly to Jacksonville's identity. That authenticity matters because successful urban spaces today are increasingly built around experience rather than just functionality. People are drawn toward places that feel unique and connected to local culture. The combination of riverfront access, public gathering space, and recognition of Jacksonville's music history helps create an environment that feels distinctive to the city itself, rather than interchangeable with another waterfront development somewhere else. The reopening of the Northbank Riverwalk may ultimately have an even broader long-term impact because of what it does for connectivity throughout downtown Jacksonville. One of the city's long-standing challenges has been fragmentation. Different districts within the urban core often felt isolated from one another, making it harder for pedestrian activity and consistent energy to flow naturally between neighborhoods, restaurants, entertainment venues, and public spaces. The improved Riverwalk begins addressing that issue by creating a more continuous pedestrian experience, stretching along the waterfront while linking downtown more effectively to surrounding areas, including districts extending toward Riverside. And that type of connectivity matters far more than many people realize. Walkable public spaces create movement. They encourage people to stay downtown longer rather than simply driving in and out. They increase foot traffic for nearby restaurants, hotels, cafes, bars, and retail businesses. They create environments where people can exercise, attend events, socialize, and interact with the city itself rather than simply commuting through it. In many successful urban environments across the country, waterfronts become the living room of the city, places where residents gather daily and where tourism, recreation, and economic activity naturally intersect. Jacksonville appears to be moving closer toward that model. There's also a significant economic development angle tied directly to projects like this. Public investment in waterfront infrastructure often becomes a catalyst for surrounding private investment. Developers are more willing to pursue residential, hospitality, and mixed-use projects when high-quality public spaces exist nearby. Property values often strengthen around walkable waterfront amenities because buyers increasingly prioritize lifestyle, accessibility, and experience-based environments. That dynamic is already beginning to emerge throughout downtown Jacksonville. Riverfront improvements, residential projects, office tower renovations, hospitality developments, and stadium district planning are all contributing to a larger transformation of the urban core. And the Music Heritage Garden and Riverwalk improvements fit directly into that broader momentum. Each project reinforces the others. Public spaces support restaurants and nightlife. Hotels support tourism. Residential growth increases daily activity. Improved walkability strengthens downtown's appeal. Together, those layers gradually create the type of consistent urban energy that successful downtown districts rely on long term. There's also an important psychological impact tied to visible projects like these that often gets overlooked. For years, Many Jacksonville residents viewed the riverfront as underutilized relative to its enormous potential. Seeing completed projects, active gathering spaces, and visible investment along the river begins changing perception. And perception matters tremendously in urban redevelopment. When residents begin believing in downtown again, momentum tends to accelerate. Businesses become more confident. Developers pursue additional projects. More residents consider living in the urban core. More visitors spend time exploring the area. Over time, that momentum compounds and gradually reshapes how people experience the city itself. The timing is important too. Across the country, cities are increasingly investing in waterfront activation because downtowns can no longer rely solely on daytime office traffic to remain vibrant. Post-pandemic urban environments increasingly compete through lifestyle, experience, and public spaces that encourage activity throughout the day and evening. Jacksonville's riverfront improvements directly support that shift by creating environments designed around recreation, culture, connectivity, and public engagement. Of course, projects like the Music Heritage Garden and Northbank Riverwalk alone do not completely transform downtown overnight. Successful urban revitalization rarely happens through one massive project. It happens incrementally. One redevelopment, one park, one pedestrian connection, one investment at a time. But these projects represent another important layer in Jacksonville's broader effort to fully embrace the St. Johns River as the centerpiece of the urban core rather than simply a backdrop to it. It's about creating a riverfront that feels active, connected, cultural, and central to everyday life in Jacksonville. For years, residents talked about the potential of downtown's waterfront. In 2026, projects like these are beginning to show what happens when the city finally starts turning that potential into reality. And if the current momentum continues, Jacksonville's riverfront may ultimately become the feature that ties the entire urban core together for the next generation of growth. I'm Luke Christmas, and it's always Christmas when you work with Christmas Homes.